A 72-year-old farmer, Bill Anderson, had spent his entire life tending to his land, a cornerstone of his family's legacy. But when ruthless developers came knocking, ready to take it all, he thought his battle was lost. Then, the next day, an Apache helicopter landed in his field, changing everything. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more incredible stories. Now, let's get started. Bill Anderson, a 72-year-old farmer, had spent his entire life working the same 1,000-acre farm. Anderson Farm had been in his family for 3 generations. His grandfather had started the operation during World War II, offering the land for military training, a tradition that Bill carried forward. The farm had been more than a livelihood. It was a service to the country. For decades, Bill had kept a designated military landing zone in his south field, just as his father had done during the Vietnam War. Every week he maintained the area, preparing it for night training by military helicopter crews. His wife, Martha, always made sure the pilots had coffee and sandwiches, providing comfort during long hours of practice. Bill's service to his country wasn't just limited to farming. It was a testament to his unwavering commitment to the military and his community. But after all these years, his world was about to change. The land around him had been bought by a powerful developer, Techscape, a company from Silicon Valley. They had big plans for the area, a tech campus that would erase the farm and the landing zone. Bill wasn't concerned about the money they offered. His farm wasn't just land to him. It was history, tradition, and an invaluable resource for the military. He had hoped for the best, but braced himself for the worst. Little did he know, his fight to save the farm was just beginning. For Bill Anderson, his farm wasn't just about growing crops, it was about service. It was a place that had supported the military for over 3 generations. Bill's father had opened the land for helicopter training during the Vietnam War, and his grandfather had done the same during World War II. Bill was proud of his family's legacy of service to the country. Every week, he maintained the landing zone, ensuring military helicopters could practice night landings. Bill understood the importance of what he was doing. The farm wasn't just a business, it was integral to the military's readiness. The pilots who trained there had gone on to serve in conflicts around the world, and Bill took great pride in knowing he had helped them. Martha, Bill's wife, always made sure the crews were well fed, preparing coffee and sandwiches for the long hours they spent on the farm. No matter the season, Bill and Martha worked tirelessly to keep the landing zone operational. Even during harvest season, when the fields were filled with crops, Bill cleared a path through the land so the helicopters could land safely. He always said, "You can't expect our boys to learn in daylight only." Bill never asked for anything in return. He was just happy to do his part for the country. But as the years passed, he began to worry. His land was slowly being encroached upon by developers, and it seemed like the tradition his family had built was under threat. He never imagined it would be taken away by a corporate giant with no understanding of the history they were destroying. Everything changed when Bill learned that Techscape, a Silicon Valley developer, had bought the land surrounding Anderson Farm. The developers didn't care about the farm's legacy or the military training zone. It was just another piece of prime, real estate in their eyes. Techscape had plans to build a massive tech campus, and Anderson Farm was right in the middle of those plans. Bill was offered a sum of money far above market value, but no amount of money could replace the history and service his farm represented. The farm was more than just land to Bill. It was a symbol of his family's commitment to the military and the community. His father had worked this land during the Cold War, and his grandfather had offered it for training during World War II. It wasn't just a piece of property, it was a part of his soul. Bill knew he couldn't just sell out to developers. He'd been providing a crucial service to the military for decades, and the idea of it being wiped away by a corporate giant made him furious. But the developers weren't concerned with the legacy of the land. They only saw dollar signs. Bill watched as his neighbors, one by one, sold their land to the developers. Even the Wilson family, who had once provided an emergency landing zone for military helicopters, had sold their farm. As Bill sat at his kitchen table, looking at the offers, he felt a deep sense of loss. His land, his history, and his family's tradition were at risk of being destroyed by people who didn't understand what they were taking away. Bill's worst fears came true when he received the final eviction notice from the developers. His hands trembled as he read the letter. It was official. The farm he had worked for his entire life was about to be taken from him. The developers had won. It felt like a slap in the face to all the sacrifices he and his family had made over the years. Bill had never caused trouble. He had always maintained his farm with respect and pride, understanding the importance of his work in supporting the military. But now, all that history, all that service, seemed to mean nothing. The developers didn't care about the military readiness the farm provided. They saw only an opportunity for profit. With a heavy heart, Bill put up a sign in the field. Notice, military training zone closing. Anderson Farm, serving our forces since 1943. Below the main message, he added a smaller note. Thank you for 50 years of service to our country. It was his way of reminding everyone that the farm wasn't just land. It was a place of service, sacrifice, and tradition. Bill didn't tell the military at first. He kept maintaining the landing zone as he always had, but something felt different. His usual pride was gone. His hands trembled as he set out the landing lights. His voice cracked when he radioed in the coordinates for the helicopters. Bill couldn't shake the feeling that the end was near, but he held on to a small hope that somehow something would change. The simple sign Bill put up on his farm had a profound impact. It wasn't just the local community that noticed it. It caught the attention of a young reporter who was curious about the farm's history. She came to interview Bill, asking about the farm's role in training military pilots. Bill didn't think much of the interview. He expected it to be another small story lost in the shuffle. But the story took on a life of its own. The reporter's photos and words spread like wildfire. The article captured the essence of what Anderson Farm represented: years of service, tradition, and sacrifice. It wasn't just a farm, it was a crucial part of the military's training infrastructure. People across the country began sharing the story, especially veterans who had trained on the farm. They recalled the long nights, the steady guidance of Bill, and the comfort of Martha's coffee and sandwiches. The post about Anderson Farm spread quickly through military channels, and it wasn't long before the story made its way to higher levels of government. Bill had no idea that his small act of resistance would spark such a widespread response. But as the story gained more attention, Bill began to feel a glimmer of hope. Maybe there was a way to save his farm after all. Later that evening, as Bill worked in his barn, the phone rang. It was the landline, the one his daughter had been begging him to replace with a cell phone, but Bill had always been content with the old-fashioned phone. He picked it up, and a voice on the other end told him to hold for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Bill nearly dropped the receiver. For a moment he thought it was a prank. But when the chairman's voice came through, he couldn't believe what he was hearing. The chairman had read the article about Anderson Farm, and he wanted to know more. Bill explained the history of the farm, how it had supported military training since World War II, and how his family had maintained the landing zones for decades. The chairman listened intently, and after a brief conversation, he promised Bill that he would help save the farm. Bill was stunned. The chairman said, "Give me 24 hours." And Bill hung up the phone, his hands shaking. Could it be true? Could the chairman really help save Anderson Farm? After months of feeling defeated, Bill was suddenly filled with hope. Maybe the fight wasn't over after all. The very next day, Bill heard the unmistakable sound of helicopter blades slicing through the air. He looked up to see an Apache helicopter, followed by 3 Blackhawks, heading towards his farm. As they landed, Bill's heart raced. These weren't just regular military crews, they were from the Pentagon. 2 generals stepped out, carrying briefcases. They had come to meet with Bill and Martha. After a brief introduction, the generals explained that the farm would be designated as a protected military training facility. This would prevent the developers from touching the land. Bill's landing zones would remain, and the military would lease the space from him, providing him with a steady income while preserving the farm's critical role in military readiness. Bill's hands shook as he signed the papers. It felt surreal. After all the uncertainty, all the nights spent worrying about losing everything, the farm was saved. It wasn't just about the land, it was about the military recognizing the value of what Bill had built. The generals smiled as they packed up the paperwork and gave Bill one final message from the chairman. Some things are worth more than money. Supporting our military is one of them. The developers were forced to abandon their plans for Anderson Farm. The military's intervention had secured the land, ensuring that it would continue to serve as a vital training ground for years to come. The developers had no choice but to revise their plans to accommodate the new military designation. As the news spread, other farmers in the area who had also been threatened by the developers received similar calls. The Montgomery Place and the Wilson's Farm, both critical training sites, were also protected. Bill's fight had sparked a wave of change. The developers had been forced to acknowledge that some things were too, and so Bill Anderson's farm was saved. Not by money, but by the unwavering dedication to his country and the generations of service that came before him. His farm continues to serve as a vital training ground for the military, a testament to the power of tradition and loyalty. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more incredible tales of resilience and courage, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We've got plenty more inspiring stories coming your way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.